The Nintendo Switch eShop has been the same since the console first came out over 8 years ago. And that's not a good thing. Hi, I'm Tri, and today, we're back at it again to fix some UI. This time, instead of the home screen, we're going to tackle the eShop, which has had its fair share of scorn from virtually every user. We'll also revisit my Switch menu UI with some updates based on a lot of y'all's feedback, so stay tuned for that. I know I've had my problems with the eShop, so let's address them. We need to once again do some research and see what the people are saying. The biggest thing I've found is, 1, it's so slow. This is probably one of the worst online shopping experiences because you can't be on this thing longer than 5 minutes before it starts to chug. My Switch is also a day one Switch, so I'm not sure if the OLEDs feel any better, but I'm sure it's still a terrible experience. The second, it's really hard to discover games. This can kind of be traced back to the first one. The longer we scroll, the slower it gets. But what's being shown to us isn't even good. A lot of shovelware and garbage are on the front page or the new releases, and it can be difficult to filter these things out. The third is again a problem people have with the home menu UI. There's a serious lack of Nintendo fun, and you don't have to do much to bring back the Nintendo charm. Without further ado, here is my eShop design. Hold on. What is that, like a bossa nova beat? This addresses the third biggest complaint I found, no personality, and my good friend Mington created this awesome custom eShop song just for my video. Thanks so much, Mington. Let's just enjoy being on this page for a little bit and vibe out. Yeah, that's nice. All of the eShops of Nintendo systems past have had a nice little tune in the background to make you feel good while you browse the store. Have y'all ever been in a department store that wasn't playing music? Without music, it kind of feels like something's missing or you're not supposed to be there. That's how the Switch eShop feels. It's not welcoming at all, and adding something as simple as this would be so good for the user experience, especially if you want users to, actually browse and shop on here. But I digress. Next thing I'll talk about is the first thing people want addressed, and that's how slow the eShop is. Now this is directly involving the user experience, but I'm not sure how much a designer would affect this. A product designer or UX designer could bring this information back to the development team and product manager as an issue that needs to be resolved. UX designers should be mediators between users and developers, so it's our job to represent you all. I can't confirm this, but people online say that eShop is basically just a glorified browser with all the games and data shoved into it, which slows it down. It's not an application, which would help dramatically. So yeah, make it an app. Next, we'll talk about discoverability and being able to actually find the games that you want. I wanted the cards of the games to have information that mattered to us. The price is obviously a big one. Then in the top left, if it's a Switch 1 or Switch 2 game, this can help us instantly identify if these are Nintendo exclusives and which console they'd represent. I also found that Steam does this thing where every game's title is in the art, so we don't have to display that as extra text, and I love that. It's so much cleaner. Now for you 3DS eShop fans, you might recognize the rating system is back. And I want to introduce my friend and colleague Steven over at Simply Nerdy to talk about it. Take it away, Steven.
Hey everyone! First off, a huge thank you to Tri for having me on the show. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here and to talk about something I'm very passionate about. Now, let's talk about something that I've been thinking about for years, and that is game reviews on the Nintendo eShop. Because they simply were not there. Before buying a game, I always check the reviews first. I want to know what other players think, whether a game lives up to the hype, and if it's something I'll actually enjoy. For the past 8 years, every time I've considered buying a game on the Nintendo Switch, I've had to jump between YouTube, Metacritic, and other sources just to get a sense of whether it's worth my money. While I don't mind doing the research, wouldn't it be nice and much easier if the reviews were just built into the eShop itself? Imagine just being able to quickly glance at a game's rating, read a few players' reviews, and make an informed decision all in one place. If I wanted to dig deeper, I could still go to the other sources, but for many games, a quick look at the eShop reviews would be enough to help me decide. And here's the real kicker. Brace yourselves. Nintendo already had this feature. So why not bring that back for the Nintendo Switch 2? It totally makes sense. Let's go, Nintendo. Alright, Tri, I'm passing it back over to you. Don't forget to keep it nerdy while you finish off the video.
Isn't Steven awesome? Now for discovery. Right below this main line of featured cards, we have this section. This is also something Steam does, and I feel like Steam really tries to understand its users and the types of games we like to play. Nintendo, you should be doing the same. If we could just get some of these sections based on games we play a lot on our Switch or Switch 2, and the eShop had a good way to identify these games, that would be awesome. The last part of these cards is the little heart on the top right. In the Switch eShop, you have to click on a title to then wishlist it, and that's just too many clicks for how slow this thing is. Sometimes you just want to create a massive list to go through based off the cover art, and this is your way to do that. Just press Y on the game or physically click it to wishlist. This will then lead us to the top of the interface. You have your wishlist at the top next to your profile. On the Switch eShop, it's actually flipped, which I think is weird because on the home menu, it's on the left side. Why did we move it? You have easy access to your wishlist now, so you can add a ton of games, then check them out later. I think if a game in your wishlist goes on sale, you should also be notified of that. I think the green notification dot would be perfect, so it's not in your face, but still lets you know to check it out. Next is something that people will be doing a lot of, searching. Yup, it's right up front and center at the top. You should have no issues finding it, and goes back to making discovering games easier for the users as well. Now we have this lovely bar of tabs right below it. This looks very similar to the Steam Deck because it essentially is. Tabs at the top take less real estate than the whole sidebar on the Switch eShop, and the bumper buttons feel nice to swap between tabs. You might also notice this themes tab I added. Oh ho ho! Yeah, I haven't made a mock-up for that, sorry. But I think themes, if they are present with Switch 2, should be easy to access for customization. Maybe if they're confirmed, I can make a video about 3 themes I'd like to see on Switch 2. That might be cool. Let's hop down to the bottom. Oh, this is random, but did you know that the eShop doesn't have a dark mode? Isn't that ridiculous? It's always white. So yeah, here's the dark mode. At the bottom, we have something pretty important that the 3DS eShop also had, your balance. How much do you have to spend? I like it being right there as opposed to in your profile. And if we get a new gold coin currency or vouchers back, I think those should also be right here next to the balance. And that wraps it up for the home menu of the eShop. I had some other thoughts, but didn't create any other page mockups because this already took me way too long to get done and I wanted to get this video out. But we'll start with bestsellers. We have literally zero idea what metrics Nintendo is using when they refer to bestsellers. Is this the last month, week, day? We should be able to adjust this in a filter. Next is recent releases. Some of these games on the Switch eShop are straight up not appropriate for this channel.
Dude, put that thing away! They're like children here!
Nintendo, are we even paying attention to the place where people buy your software? Get a better vetting, filter system, something. It may already be a thing, but highlight games that were in indie directs or smaller games from the main directs. This would be super great on the homepage. Okay, I think that covers it, and hopefully I was able to address those 3 issues I mentioned. Again, I wish I had made more than just the eShop home screen and showed some of the filter options, but this took me a lot longer to design than I'd like to admit. Let's move back to the Switch 2 home screen UI I made a few weeks ago, and I can show you some of the feedback I took from y'all and how I incorporated it into my new design. So here's my version 1. Yeah, it looks alright, and bam, here's version 2. So what did I change? I got a ton of comments on the gradients. Some of y'all loved it, some of y'all hated it, and most of you said, hey, try. It looks nice, but let's tone it back a bit. I thought that was a great compromise, so here you go. Gradients are still here, but they're toned down. And for the 5 of you that just absolutely hated them, I'll let you toggle it off in the personalization menu. I know, so gracious of me. Another comment people had was about the actual games themselves. Many said they didn't want it to feel as sharp, and I kind of liked that. But I also really like these softer edges because it more closely resembles the game cartridges many of the games would come on, so yeah, you won me over. I also added a drop shadow behind the game so they stand out a bit more from the background, and a more obvious glow around the currently selected game. Another big piece of feedback I got was the text size was way too small before, and so I bumped that up. And fun fact, the smallest pixel size I have is 13. The smallest pixel size we read on our phones is 12. So this may look tiny, but when it's on a Switch 2 screen, it will feel normal, I promise. Speaking of the smallest text here, it's the music being played. I felt this grouping here made sense and didn't make the text feel like it was off in La La Land like in my previous version. Another big change was the folders. I love the idea of having folders on the left side for easy access and making them feel like folders on a computer. You get more information when hovering over them, such as the title of the folder and how many games are in them. The stickers can still be used on top of them for easy identification. I also didn't want to clutter the menu with a ton of folders, so pressing L will show a more comprehensive list if you have 10 folders, for example. The last thing is the bar at the bottom. Yeah, I moved it from up top to bottom, and I kind of like the way I handled it. Again, the Switch 2 seems to have a pretty big focus on mouse control, so I wanted it to feel like a computer, and my PC running Windows 11 shares similar themes with its icons being located in the bottom center of the taskbar. Could I have made bigger improvements? Yeah, probably. I got a lot of feedback, but felt like those were the biggest that needed addressing, and I'm pretty happy with how the home menu UI as well as my eShop UI turned out. I have some big announcements as well, so please stick with me. The first is that, yeah, we hit 1,000 subscribers. Actually, we're somehow at over 2,000 now. I'm so happy with how my first UI video did, so thank you to those that watched, liked, shared, commented, and subscribed. The second is that I'm gonna be real with y'all. I would love to do YouTube as often as I can, but in my current position, it takes a lot of time and I don't have the support I need yet to be as consistent as I'd like to be. I'm starting a Patreon, and please don't feel obligated to join, but I would really appreciate your support if you did. The third and final thing is that I started a Discord server. It's been a blast getting to know y'all that have already joined, and we'd love to get more people into the Shape Squad. Okay, one last final thing. Huge shoutouts to my friends Mington and Steven who are willing to collaborate on this video with me. Mington makes awesome music, please check out his channel. He's making a video on his process for the switch to eShop song in this video, and that will also be linked in the description. Steven can be found at Simply Nerdy and Simply UX. He has great content, interviews, game discussions, and more. All of those links will be in the description. Whew, that was a lot of news, and I'm not planning on slowing down. Subscribe for more game UI content, Switch 2 content, and gaming content in general. Check out my Switch 2 playlist, which includes how I made version 1 of my Switch UI, and as always,
Thank you for all your support!